Hello, Brian Murphy here along with Ben Gessling, and we just got finished watching the Vikings lose to the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field, 23 to 14, and it felt like a game that, the Packers were about to blow open at any moment, but for Adrian Peterson and his 210-yard effort. But, an opportunity for the Vikings to maybe stay relevant in the NFC North playoff chase against a team that they're pursuing, but it wasn't to be as things kind of came apart bad, especially at the quarterback position.
Yeah, I mean, again, another rough day for Christian Ponder, and this has been a recurring theme this season. I think today you see it early. He had the touchdown drive. He was 5 for 5 for 36 yards. Looked really good. Made some assertive throws. I thought was one of his better drives in recent weeks. Made a couple nice throws on the run, but I didn't hit another pass after that until late in the fourth quarter, and it barely ended up over 100 yards again. I mean, that's just not going to get it done, especially when you're playing a team here that you got behind early and you get into that situation a little bit where you need your quarterback to put some drives together. And like you said, other than Adrian Peterson, this game probably wouldn't have been anywhere near as close. And I think the defense held up pretty well. They gave up over 400 yards total. Some of that came late as the Packers were trying to run on the clock. But again, if you can't make more plays at the quarterback position the way this league is structured, you're going to have a hard time.
And that was contrasted beautifully. I mean, Rodgers obviously didn't have a huge day, but he did have a good day, and the Packers were able to run the ball, which is something they haven't really been doing at all this season. I mean, Aaron Henderson said in the locker room afterwards, our plan was to basically make sure that Aaron Rodgers didn't, pick us apart by playing pitch and catch. Well, they didn't, but they also gave up 160 yards on the ground, and that proved fatal, especially in the fourth quarter as the Packers had this 11-play, 70-some-odd yard drive that melted about 11 minutes off the clock, and that was just a soul kind of crushing drive that similar to what Chicago had last week. And it just, again, Vikings run defense not able to get off the field, not able to make enough plays, not able to get enough third down stops against a talented team like Green Bay, and that's usually not going to bode well.
Yeah, and I think you see with Aaron Rodgers, you saw a lot of little things today, whether it was the hard counts to get a couple free plays, one of which he turned into a touchdown, being able to extend plays with his feet. I mean, and there were things I think that Christian Ponder could probably learn from. There was a throw in the fourth quarter on a third down to John Kuhn where Rodgers hung in the pocket, was able to move around a little bit to avoid anybody getting a clean shot on him, and dumped a screen pass late to get a big third down conversion. That's the kind of thing where Christian Ponder, you don't see it yet. You see him kind of make one read, and if it's not there, he takes off, and he's looking for something on the run or trying to make a play outside the pocket. A lot of times as a quarterback, if you can run the ball, your best maneuver to do it is to extend the play and try to find something else as guys get open. And the Packers obviously have the receivers to do that. The Vikings certainly don't at this point, but that's Aaron Rodgers being at his best in those moments and able to extend drives at key times for the Packers.
And only 2 receptions by Vikings receivers, Jerome Simpson, sort of late in the game when it was sort of irrelevant. As we mentioned, Adrian Peterson, his third 200-plus yard rushing game of his career, his first since his rookie year in '07 when he had a pair of them, but all for naught. I mean, he had an 82-yard career-long run that was really a thing of beauty, a tackle. He broke at least 3 tackles down the sideline and took it to the house. I mean, this is a guy that clearly is defining the Vikings as a one-dimensional team, and they're really losing opportunities here to make some hay with what we could be seeing as a generational kind of running back. And at this point, in the locker room afterwards, he went over to Christian Ponder and kind of gave him a pep talk and said, "I believe you're a winner, and I appreciate your passion." And he's sticking up for his teammates. He's not going to throw anybody under the bus. But really, at this point, it's Adrian Peterson and nothing else. And you got to wonder, a guy coming back from ACL to put up these kinds of numbers in this kind of an epic season, it doesn't look like it's going to amount for much, at least in a playoff run.
No, it doesn't. And Leslie Frazier, again, after the game, was pretty adamant about sticking with Christian Ponder. He said, "We didn't think about taking him out of the game. He's our quarterback. We're going to stand by him. He's going to be the starter." And I know that's not what Viking fans are going to want to hear at this point, but in some ways, you're kind of in a rock and a hard place there. You have to figure out if Christian Ponder can play, and they went into the season organizationally thinking this is a rebuilding year, and in some ways, I guess getting off to a good start is a little bit of a curse in that sense, because you have fans saying, "Let's make a move for now. Let's try to win now," and it's great if you can do that, certainly, but the big question this season is to figure out if Christian Ponder can play. That said, if he can't, and you've got to go back to the drawing board to find a franchise quarterback or a guy that can lead your team, you may waste the best years of one of the best, a guy who could go down as one of the best running backs to ever play the game, and that's a shame for the Vikings if they get to that point. But I don't know that putting Joe Webb in, it may make fans happy in the short term, but in the end, you have to figure out if Christian Ponder can play, and if you don't make the playoffs this season, that may just be part of the process with him.
I mean, Ben did some stat digging earlier. I mean, Peterson basically becomes the seventh running back to rush for 200 plus yards in a game since 1960 and lose, joining O.J. Simpson and a host of others. But exactly, not the kind of thing you want to have on your resume, and certainly not where the Vikings want to be. They fall to 6-6 now. They have road game. They have the Bears coming back into the Metrodome, which could be basically last rites, and then road games at St. Louis and Houston that don't seem to be relevant. It seems like if there's any hope, and it's flickering, they're going to have to run the table to even make a play, make a move.
Well, the other problem here too is that Seattle beat Chicago today, so you now have effectively a 2-game deficit for the last wild card spot. I mean, Seattle's a game ahead of them, and Seattle obviously beat them early in the season. In an odd way, it could be one of those things where Viking fans are saying, boy, I wish that Hail Mary against the Packers would have gone a different way, because then they'd have one less win. But yeah, at this point, you basically need to run the table and probably hope for a little bit of help to get anything done. And you're talking about home games against the Bears, home games against the Packers, road games in Seattle and Houston, or St. Louis and Houston. It's a tough thing to ask for, especially when you're getting this kind of quarterback play. So I think the Vikings have pretty much burned through their margin for error here.
Yeah, the air is definitely out of the balloon, and you could kind of feel it in that locker room. So anyway, from Lambeau Field, this is Brian Murphy for Ben Gusling. We'll see you next week at Winter Park.